Lying almost completely flat, balanced on my hip and elbow, and covered in soil and fresh mulch, my eyes sharply focus on the tangle of tall prairie grasses surrounding me. I seek the stems of white and yellow clover, my clippers deftly assailing the invasives we are tasked with removing for the day. Upon successfully clearing a grassy patch from unwanted clover, I gather my clippings together and stand up from my prairie jungle, no longer dwarfed by the swaying foliage. Glancing up at my surroundings, I slowly remember where I am. The sounds of the city begin to re-infiltrate my consciousness. Less than 50 feet away, behind a row of freshly planted, immature trees, cars pass at a steady clip along the multiple lanes of the recently rerouted Highway 55 or Hiawatha Avenue. On the other side of the highway, every 10 minutes the Blue Line light rail passes, scraping along its track on an elevated platform clearly visible above the row of thinned-out bur oaks and scraggly shrubs. Less frequently, the roar of a jet engine dwarfs all other noises as a passenger plane makes its ascent out of the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. We have plenty of time to decode the airline decal on the tail of the plane as it passes over our heads. Pointing in the road's direction, "Those trees over there were planted intentionally," one of the regular Coldwater crew volunteers tells me as I drop my clippings on the edge of the gravel path and pick up my empty 5-gallon pail. "All of this," he continues, his arms gesturing wildly, "was designed by Alan Robbins Fenger. He's a landscape architect or something, and his plan is that those trees will create a natural sound break from the highway." I nod as I begin walking up the path toward a giant mound of fresh mulch. The light rail clangs past. It is mid-morning on a weekday, so the park is fairly empty. A middle-aged woman approaches on the wide trail next to where we are working. She is walking her bicycle. Amused by her attention to park regulations, I chuckle to myself as I recall the image of a crossed-out bicycle on a sign near the park entrance that says, "Walk bikes, please." The woman stops. She greets us and says, "Thank you for what you are doing. The place looks really great." I assume she's a local, and I wonder how much she knows about the history of this place. One of the other volunteers then gives her a brief update on what we've been doing and explains to the visitor how she might get involved. I smile as she passes, set down my bucket, and begin filling it with mulch. My bucket overflowing, I venture a little bit farther down the path, searching for an untended section. Stretching, I take one last look at the development surrounding me. I glance at the other volunteers hunched over, clippers poised, submerged in their own tufts of prairie grass, before finally spying another clump of the small clusters of yellow and white flowers that need my attention. I resume my position, diving off the path and back into the tangle of prairie grasses to participate in the Coldwater crew's manicuring of the Coldwater Spring landscape. And the sounds of the city begin to fade.